It was absolutely fantastic, and I've got to say that not only am I a great fan of Michael Crawford's, but the ensemble cast assembled from America, and I guess a few from England, because I'd seen one of them on stage in England, were just sensational in their own right. And of course he was the cream on the cake. It was great.
It was brilliant. It's really fabulous. I enjoyed every minute of it. I could go and sit back there again.
Everybody was so very, very professional. It was fabulous.
But I thought it was a marvellous show. And I can see why he's as popular as he is. He's a marvellous artist.
Really terrific. Great.
Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. Beautiful music, beautiful artists. Fantastic.
Magic. I was here last night and again tonight. He's the Phantom Plus.
All right? All right. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
Good. Night-night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Now, marvellous was that word that kept bouncing out, and it was absolutely marvellous. But the little lady you saw at the end there's a special story to that, because she wrote you a letter, didn't she?
Yes, she did indeed. I mean, this happened to arrive the night that you came, and I was going to show this to you anyway, and you told me about a little girl sitting in the audience. Well, this is the letter that just part of the letter, saying we are travelling 200 miles to Sydney from Queanbeyan 3 times that week. Mummy and Daddy must love me a lot to do that for me. I'm sending you the material off the dress I will be wearing on Thursday so that you will know me.
Jenny's just there. Jenny's 11, and don't be embarrassed, Jenny, because in fact it's a lovely letter. I think any parent, as you were, you'd be proud to get a letter or see that your daughter had written something saying that Mum and Dad must love me a lot to do this.
Yeah, it's so charming. Whoever I read it to was really touched by it, and me more than anyone, because Jenny wrote to me, I think about 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago for the first time, when she'd heard Phantom and had followed some mothers a little, well, must have been the 4th repeats. She's not old enough to... That was during the war.
World War One.
Yes. War. But it does mean a lot, and that people from all over Australia, and they don't all know the Phantom, but that music reaches so many and different ages. So I was very, very touched, and always you should spend time with, in replying to the letters. We used to get about 150, 160 letters a day when I was doing Phantom in America and London, and we would reply to every single letter without fail.
Could I ask you, Jenny, you started at 8, so for almost 3 years, as Michael said, but what was the deal? How come you're going 3 times?
Because when I was little, Mum promised me if he ever came to Australia, I could see him 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4. Now, Mum, I guess you figured he wasn't going to come, did you?
No, I didn't think he would. Glad he did.
So you've been once and you're going tonight?
Yes, and on Saturday.
And the matinee on Saturday. All
And
right.
hoping to win the lottery on Sunday so they can pay for the tickets.
Absolutely marvellous. Now, who was your idol? When you were Jenny's age, who was your idol?
Well, the very first one was Danny Kaye. When I was a child, a very small child, I saw him at the London Palladium, and he entertained right across the age groups, and that was the kind of entertainer that obviously got through to my heart and soul. And then when I got a little older, Gene Kelly became my hero. Again, when you look at it, he goes through age groups so that the young and the old appreciate what he does, and he's a charming man. And as a story, I met him. I was asked to go and meet him in San Francisco with the chance of doing the musical Hello Dolly with Barbra Streisand and Walter Matthau.
Which you did.
Which Gene Kelly was going to direct. And they said, while you're in San Francisco, you're going to meet Gene Kelly. So I arrived. It was very early in the morning, and I'd flown for 13 hours from London. And there was a line at the desk, and I went up and they said, "Oh, you have a message, Mr. Crawford. Gene Kelly called." And I said, I'm sorry. They said, Gene Kelly called. So I said, could you say that again? So they read it again, and then I looked to see on the line if they'd heard it or not. And I said, Gene Kelly called for me, that is for me. And then I ran up to my room. I said, just hang on to it, will you? And I called down. I said, do I have any messages, please? And I kept calling down to get this message saying Gene Kelly called, and I've got this framed. I've got this framed still at home. And then he was going to meet me at 10 o'clock that morning, and I had 2.5 hours to kill before I saw him, met him, and so I had a bath and I shaved and washed my hair and thought, what am I going to wear? And then there was still 2 hours to go, so I had another bath and I shaved again. And I washed my hair again. And I mean, I could. After the third bath, I was envisaging this bald man with no skin left on his face, opening the door to Gene Kelly. Anyway, I got to start changing clothes and see what I'd look best in, whether I wear a collar and tie or things. And I was in the most absurd outfit. I ended up in a pair of striped pants and a check shirt and an odd jacket. And then the door went. So at the end of the 2.5 hours, I opened the door, and there is Gene Kelly standing there. And I said, oh, wow. And he said, and he shot past me, just took one very worried look at me, and then shot past me into the sitting room of this vast suite they'd put me in. And he said, now, he said, I want to know, can you sing? I said, well, I said, I've got jet lag at the moment. He said, can you dance? I said, well, I've done a bit in the bath. And he looked at me, there was not a titter, and I thought, boy, this is going well. I'm in with a chance now. And with that, he said, listen, he said, let's not talk small talk. He said, so he jumped up on the coffee table because it was a carpeted floor, and he said, see if you can do this. And he went into a routine that looked straight out of Singing in the Rain. And he finished, he said, can you do that? I said, well, not as well as you. I said, you're great. He said, come on, get up here. So I stood up on this coffee table, went into this routine, and I was going, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He said, and he looked, he said, well, let me tell you, he said, what we're looking for is an attractive idiot. Now, my wife, she thinks you're attractive, and I think you're an idiot.
Well, this very attractive idiot actually got the job. So let's get a break with a clip from Hello, Dolly with this man.
Oh, my God.
Now, how old do you think you were there?
I must have been 14.
Okay, it was a film called Shop Scene.
No.
No?
No.
What's
Maybe it wasn't me. Thank God for that. Oh, that's a relief. No, it was called Blow Your Own Trumpet.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
They show it
the shop scene
late
from
night in hotels.
No, did you actually play the cornet?
Oh, I mean, I tried to learn, but it was something I couldn't achieve, as that was the best I did there. But that, I had my first... Yes, yes, this is your life in the woods.
So you don't play the cornet?
No.
Now?
No, who cares? No.
Is there anyone in the audience who plays the cornet? This gentleman's name down here is Peter Beddoe. And Peter, in fact, he's the man who played the cornet in that film. Way back when you were 14. Is that
you
right,
played
Peter?
it for me?
Here's the man who
you
lives
made
in
those
Australia.
sounds then. Well, I hope you've improved. Dear, oh dear. He'll never get in the band, will he?
So you're obviously a professional musician. Did you then come to live in Australia?
No, I'm not a professional musician. I do it for enjoyment.
Okay.
I play in a brass band, actually.
And so when did you come to Australia?
In 1968.
Now you mentioned another connection.
The little girl that was there playing my sister,
Gillian Harrison?
It's called Gillian Harrison. And last week in Brisbane, I had this note saying, I don't suppose you'll remember me from 37 years ago, but I was working with you, and signed Gillian, your little sister, and then sent me a photo of the two of us, and that was her. Look at her, bless her heart, and she came to see me in Brisbane doing the concerts. It was wonderful to see her. She's just as pretty now as she was then.
All right, now listen, lots of surprises then. I don't have the rest of the script, but last week when you were here, we gave you a gold album for Michael Crawford Performs Andrew Lloyd Webber, which he didn't know about at all.
No.
Well, now we're going to give you a platinum album. This is where it's gone in Australia. So here we are.
Look at the size of it.
So Normally it takes other artists months and months and months to achieve that, if they ever achieve it. But you've managed to do that in just over a week or so in Australia.
Oh, well, it's no small thanks to the Midday show, I think. After last week, the reaction was extraordinary. So thank you very, very much, everyone out there.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving right along. Next time you come back, what happens after platinum? Is there a triple platinum or something? All right. Can I ask you about that? Hello, Dolly, because when you move with people like Barbara Streisand, I mean, was it harder to do the film than to do a stage play, for example, a stage show?
It is, in a way. You have to find the emotion all of a sudden. When we're singing songs, if we're doing a production like Phantom, you begin at the beginning, you go through the centre of the story, and you finish. There's the climax of the story. And in film, you pick it up anywhere. I mean, there's a beautiful love scene in there where I sing a song called "It Only Takes a Moment," which is a lovely sentiment that you actually meet someone, you look them in the eyes, and you know there's some connection between you. You know there's a wonderful feeling. And the song was called "It Only Takes a Moment for your eyes to meet, and then your heart knows in a moment you may." So it's that had to be spontaneous, and we were doing it from midnight until 6 a.m. in the morning. We shot this with Gene Kelly standing behind the camera, and you do it from every possible angle because it's a $20 million movie, and in those days that was it was the largest musical ever made. So you sing and you sing and you sing. All the tracks are done before you, so you're actually singing with a track. You can mime, but it's best to sing with the track. And I sang it and I sang it and I sang it, and in every take it moved me, it made me cry. And at the end of a long night shooting, we did one master take, and I finished, and the tears are running down my face, and I looked over to see if Gene liked it, and there were tears just running down his face, and he came over and he just hugged me, said, "You little mother." And that man, he was a hero, a real life hero, that you meet someone and you admire someone, and when you meet them in real life, he never ever failed me. He never let me down. He never let anyone down when we were working together. He was a true Irish gent, and always had such love for his work.
The reason, part of the reason I asked that is a lovely story. When I saw you the other night, I was conscious, we were about 5 rows from the front, and I was conscious when you sang a song we're going to show in a moment, of how quiet the theatre was, and I heard a lady cough once behind me, and I could see you clearly, and I thought, I wonder whether he hears that up there. And then I thought, well, no, he's so deeply involved in the emotion of the song, he doesn't hear it. So when I spoke to you afterwards, I said, did you hear the cough?
Oh yes, it was like a cannon shot. This is one lovely thing about the concert. You have a 40-piece orchestra, 90% of which is Australian, and 85% of which are ladies. So it's a great tour. And then the rest, you have a big group backstage, plus all our singers, 12 singers.
Who are marvellous.
Who are wonderful, wonderful, and very carefully chosen and very special people, very special singers. And then you have this audience of 2,000, 2,500 people. So when you sing and create a mood, like in Music of the Night, you can hear the silence. You hear nothing, absolutely nothing. And the very last song I sang the other night was an encore. It was a plaintive little love song called "Tell Me on a Sunday." And I started to sing, and there was silence, and I get to the end, and just as I'm hitting the last, I hear this woman cough, and it banged out in my head, because your computer's going like crazy anyway, thinking you're moved, but any intrusion from the sound that you're used to is, it just blasts a shot in the place, and it did that night. So no, there's no way it missed my attention.
It wasn't very loud, by the way.
And I thought everyone would hear it, but you heard it.
In fact, we're going to show it. You may hear it. You may hear it, but much better is the song. For all the fans who couldn't get to see Michael perform, here is a world exclusive. Mr. Michael Crawford performing Andrew Lloyd Webber's "Tell Me on a Sunday." Well, now, not every kid gets to meet the Queen. But as a young girl, Dawn Lorraine Fraser thought it was just all a part of growing up. The difference was that she grew up as the daughter of Australia's favourite daughter. Would you please welcome our Dawnie and her daughter, Dawn Lorraine. Lovely to have you. Nice to meet you. Now listen, let's bring Michael up to date. I'm sure he knows who Dawn is, but Dawn is one of our national treasures. She won 4 gold and 4 silver medals in not 1, not 2, but 3 Olympic Games. She has always been a fantastic ambassador for sport. But you're no stranger to the tension of international sport yourself, are you? Have a look at have a look at this. This is you're responsible for this one. Have a look at this.
The judges confirmed their excellence with an unparalleled set of marks.
You've got it!
9 perfect 6s.
They were just wonderful. To see all those 6s up there on that, I don't think any of us could believe it. This last week it seemed like just like a year to us all.
No, you didn't actually skate there. That was Torvald being skating. Had a worry for a moment.
I was on the left there.
But you choreographed it.
Yeah, I wasn't skating. I was there getting my hair cut. Oh boy, that haircut. Yes, I helped choreograph it. It was.
This is what one of your in-between periods, was it?
Well, no. The Torvald and Jane and Christopher had come to see Barnum, and therefore they were interested in doing this circus routine for the World Championships in Helsinki, and I helped them put the music together and to put a lot of movement in all those somersaults and things like that. So it was a very, very exciting time. So I know exactly the tension and the wonderment of being around when a gold medal's been won. But to win as many as you have, Dawn, is I remember you so clearly, because all our swimmers were in armbands, you know, those floaties. So you had to win something, you know.
Well, that's very true, you know, and also they kept on putting the breaststrokers in with the freestylers, so we got a fair deal.
Now, Dawn Lorraine, I mentioned the fact that did you actually meet the Queen, or did you just meet Prince Charles?
No, I met the Queen at the Brisbane Commonwealth Games, but Prince Charles was the one I remember. Like, he was the first royal party I ever met.
You really got to know him, did you?
Yes. Good friend.
But he stopped and talked to you?
He stopped and talked to me for the longest out of all the guests that were introduced to him, and the protocol was trying to move him on, and he kept staying there talking to, and I was so excited. But it was coming up to the day, and Mum took me out to buy me a dress, and it was like a fairy tale, because, you know, we met the manager of this dress shop, and he bought girls out that were dressed in dresses, and I could pick, and what I wanted to pick wasn't what Mum wanted to pick. Like, I was ready to please this prince. But Mum just said no, and we picked this dress, and I just didn't like it, and then we had to go and pick the shoes. And in those days, these shoes were so expensive. I'll never forget. Mum kept saying, "You're not allowed to wear those shoes, but it's really expensive."
Mainly because I couldn't afford it.
And I didn't like them at all, and Mum picked them, and I thought, oh, well, I'll wear them because it'll keep Mum happy. And I went and I met the prince, and he was just the most charming man. He was lovely. He was so
But you didn't have
lovely.
your sexy gear on, you had the one that Mum had got for you.
No, yeah. I had the little 10-year-old look like 10-year-old.
Mum, been thwarted. It could have been Princess Dawn now. Mum interfered with it.
I know.
Oh, well done, Dawn. Another gold medal for you.
That was one I could have done without. That sounds like an official one.
Have you, I presume Michael met the Queen?
Yes, I did. Well, I got the OBE a couple of 3 or 4 years back, and that's the only time I really met her. And I remember about getting dressed to go and see her. You had to wear tails. It was a morning suit, as they call it. And my daughters, you were allowed 2 guests, so I took my daughters with me. And I'm not a very sort of outward person about things. I'm quite not too flamboyant. So I booked this car, and it was a Mercedes, to take me to the palace with the girls and myself. And it came 8 o'clock in the morning. I was already dressed. I changed, had 4 baths, and shaved 5 times. And again, I'm very clean. If anyone's interested. And so I was ready to go to Buckingham Palace, and suddenly the driver calls me and said, "Michael, we've had a bit of a problem. I've crashed the Merc." He said, "So I borrowed a car from a friend." I said, "But you've got a car. You've got a car." I said, "We've got a car to get to the Buckingham Palace." He said, "Yeah, don't worry, mate. I've got a car." So the next thing, he draws up at I live in a place called Wapping in London on the river. And it's a great place, but they're not used to large cars. And up drew this yellow Rolls Royce. And I was so cross with this driver that he got that. I travelled and I was shouting at him from the floor. I was on the floor in the back of the car saying, Reg, how could you do this to me? And I'm on the car going to Buckingham Palace. We picked my daughters up, who thought it was the most wonderful thing they'd ever seen. They got in the back. And we're driving through the gates of Buckingham Palace to meet the Queen in a yellow Rolls Royce.
With you on the floor?
With me on the floor. And as I turn round to see them, once again, I'm so stupidly sentimental, I turn round and all 4 of us, even the driver, he'd never driven in the gates before, like God we didn't hit him. And we were all crying. Everyone had tears just streaming down their faces at the sort of idea that we were actually going to Buckingham Palace, and you were going to, like Frank Spencer's, I was going to meet the Queen.
I mean, the idea of meeting the Queen or Prince Charles, was that just par for the course for you, being the daughter of this famous mum? Did you take it for granted?
I was excited, but that was it. I'd met...
Lots of famous people.
Yeah, I'd met a lot of famous people, so it wasn't as if I was meeting someone different, and they were normal to me. I suppose because Mum was so normal, and to other people she wasn't normal.
I take it because you mean she was so famous and so good at what so extraordinary, abnormal at sport.
Yes.
What about the kids at school? Did the kids treat you differently at school?
No, they didn't. Mum always went under Mrs. Ware, my father's name, and so it was... Everyone would call her Mrs. Ware, but when Mum came to school, they knew who she was.
Known as swimwear.
Yes. Well, I say...
Sorry.
I say beware. They used to come every weekend. I'd come home because I went to boarding school. I'd go back to school and they'd say, "Who did you meet this weekend?" And if I met someone famous, I'd say, "Oh," they'd be so excited. And I'd think, but they're just normal people. But they loved me going back and telling them that I'd met someone exciting and famous.
Your mum always appears to us to have been calm and confident, even when she was on the blocks for a gold medal swim. Have you ever seen her flustered? Have you ever seen her nervous?
Not really. Like, I know when something's agitating, she's agitated, or but the first election in '88, she didn't talk to me for 2 months, so I knew there's something wrong.
That's nervous.
But the day before, I saw her elect the polling booth, and she was really nervous. I saw that nerves then, but I mean, I only saw her swim in Brisbane a couple of months ago, and that was the first time I'd ever seen her swim really, in life,
really?
real life, yeah.
Unbelievable.
So Melbourne, sorry.
It's all right.
Sorry, Mum.
Mum's correcting you. But are you a swimmer? Can you swim?
Now I can. I learned to swim properly when I was 17, so up until that time I could swim, but I would never admit I was Mum's daughter.
We are out of time on this spot, but you must tell us the story about the swimming race when it was mother-daughter swimming race at school.
My first year at St Vincent's College, and we used to have mother and daughter races, and everyone said, "You have to go in it with your mother, you'll win it." And I thought, yes, I'll win it. And I was only in 4th grade, like I was 10, and I didn't know, but I was swimming against a 15 and a 16-year-old. And I thought, well, Mum will swim first, so she'll get up the pool first, I'll swim back and we'll win. But because Mum was swimming in the race, they decided the children had to swim first. Well, I couldn't swim. I couldn't swim. And I thought, what am I going to do? And I was in tears and I said, Mum, I'm not going in it, that's it. And she said, Dawn-Rain, you've said you'll go in it, so we have to go in it. So I'm swimming up and I got up there and they're all out and I'm still in the water. And by the time they all got out, Mum was just doing her lap and I got out and Mum was doing her lap and my teacher was saying, well, this is Dawn Fraser in action and all this. And I said, and I was walking down the sideline crying because I thought she's in the pool by herself. And
The others are all finished.
I was devastated that she had to swim by herself.
Mother and daughter finished last in the whole competition, a world championship.
But it was fun, right? I mean, it was competition and it was fun. It was mother and daughter, and
that was the last time too.
Never again.
But you swear, in fact, at the moment, you tell us that she's difficult to live with. Why is she difficult to live with at the moment? Come on, be honest.
She's swimming in Indianapolis in the Masters, but she's difficult because she's given up drinking.
She's in training. Wow. This is your life, Dawn.
You talk your life. This is your life. This is my life.
We should say she doesn't have a drinking problem. She's given it up because she's training.
No, I just had a big bet with the Australian Olympic team that's going away to Barcelona during the trials, and the bet is that if they don't drink, and I think it's very important that the young people that are representing our country don't drink, that Fraser's not allowed to drink until after the Olympic Games. So I'm on a big bet with quite a few of our swimmers.
My money says you're going to win. Dawn-Rain, lovely to meet you. As always, the very best of luck. We'll talk to you later. Would you please take over? I mentioned that was a clip from Paul Kelly. How can you tell the beat? How can you hear the beat?
It takes a lot of practice, really. When I first get the words to a song and the music, I have to have a hearing friend sit with me and go through the song with me. So through that person, I can catch the rhythm and I just practice again and again and again, and you sort of like internalize the rhythm in there.
But I take it that you can't hear any of that sound, can you?
With the hearing aid, I can pick up some, but I can't rely on my hearing. No, I don't have enough hearing to rely on that. I have to rely on memory, knowing what I'm doing. But with the hearing aid, I can pick up some sound, yes.
Maybe actually you're in quite a good position because with us we have to rely on a conductor, and maybe you can be in charge as the singer, which is unusual.
I'd like to think that, but I have to follow the rhythm. Unfortunately, the rhythm can't change to follow me. But sometimes in theatre of the deaf plays, if we have sign songing, we will say, yes, the music follow the actors, not the actors follow the music.
Right.
So sometimes we do it that way.
But do you have anyone giving you a definite beat? Because it is a very good point, this, about the rhythm. How do you keep that rhythm?
Like I said, just internalizing it, remembering it.
Yeah.
Practice.
I can't begin, because I'm not a singer, I can't begin to imagine, but you, can you imagine singing without hearing?
No, because we do the same song every night for 1,300 times. I've sung Music of the Night 3,000 times. It's still different every single night. And I internalize, but you've got a built-in, it's something that's built inside you that your instinct is working with.
Maybe, well, I know not all deaf people can do it. It is a skill.
Yeah.
So much as not all people can sing like you can, I'm sure. It's a skill, a talent, something you develop too. So I guess maybe there is something in me.
Yes.
That's maybe a frustrated hearing singer, maybe.
Yeah.
Becoming a deaf signing singer.
It was so good. I mean, that was so brilliant. The rhythm was so steady and good. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Well, I love music too. I love music, and I do have my own sense of rhythm. It's just practice, like you said, you know the same song, and I'm sure if I sang that song again, it would be a bit different next time, yeah.
Yes.
But you do know the basic, what has to happen when.
Right.
Can go with that.
Carol, you mentioned that you could do for us a phantom. We've done mime with you in the past. A phantom of the opera. Can you give us a phantom?
With visible vernacular,
Yes.
that famous word again. Yeah, VV is something where you describe. For example, if I describe the phantom, I might say, so that gives a description of the phantom.
It's very good, isn't it?
If I wanted to describe two people dancing, maybe, I just have my hands quickly like that.
It is highly visible. As an actor, for here we go, a chicken or a rabbit, Michael? Be a chicken or a rabbit.
With your hand. Can you describe it on your face? Think of what a chicken looks like.
What do you think? I'm brilliant? Listen.
How would you do it?
How would I do it myself? Yeah. Okay, a chicken. Maybe I'd say.
Listen. That's it. Maybe we could get together sometime.
We're going to rooster here.
Yes.
When did you, I've asked you this a long time ago, but just refresh us. When did you realise that you had this talent for acting, Carol?
I don't know if I realised it or somebody else realised it. I think I've been acting most of my life, really. But when we were young, when I first realised I was really interested in it, I lived on a dead-end street, and everybody used to get together and have fun, put shows together. This was in America. And with that, I was one way for me to communicate with the other kids in the neighborhood. When I became deaf and maybe couldn't understand what was going on all the time, I'd get involved in the acting and all that. And as I got older, just became more serious about it. When I was in high school, I started to think, oh, I'd like to be an actor. But I did think, when I'm deaf, how can I? Every time you turn on the TV, there's singing and dancing or people talking, but you don't see deaf actors that much. And then I saw the National Theatre of the Deaf in America, and I realized, oh yes, it doesn't matter. A deaf person can do it. A bit different from a hearing person. I use my face, my body, my hands maybe more than most hearing actors do, rather than training my voice as much. So I would say when I was in high school was really when I started to think, yes, I want to pursue this dream.
Yes.
That's wonderful, because so much of acting and performing is remaining the child. We all have to remain the child. I mean, to sit here like an idiot and be a chicken at this time of day, it's really, you've got to be something wrong with you. And so the longer we remain children, the more integrated people, and no matter if you're handicapped or you're not handicapped, the more the world stays together as one. And when you were working with your mates at school, this helped carry on into your adult life, did it not?
Yeah. Well, deaf people, like hearing people, some have the talent and some don't. But I would agree that who can hang on to that sense of fun, yes, that sense of play like a child, can continue to learn, to grow, to try different things.
And
because
give them confidence.
An actor takes risks, yes. Actors take risks. They do things, like you said, a chicken, feel like a fool, but you do it anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and well, we're glad you do. And all those school children around Australia, around the world, where you go and do your Theatre of the Deaf, are grateful too. We thank you again. Would you please thank Carol?
Disagreed.
Did he show any remorse at all for his victims or for their families?
More so for his own daughters. He would openly talk to us about how he would put the gloves on, take the hammer from underneath the seat, then stalk these elderly women. But when Simon and I asked him, we said, well, John, why on earth would you do this? I mean, these women have been through 2 world wars, they've been through a depression, and they get to this stage in their lives. I mean, what propelled you to do this, John? And he would say, oh, well, this is the grey area. This is what I can't work out. I'm in here for the rest of my life now. And then he would psychoanalyse us. He would say, would you know? Can you help me? But I think the remorse was more so for his daughters. Yeah. As far as the victims, I think he just sort of would just wipe over that and not go into it.
And do you believe that neither his daughters nor his wife over the 18-month period had any idea?
Yes. I don't think they had any idea.
I believe that. I mean, I spoke to Mike Hagan only 2 nights ago, the
policeman in charge,
the commander of the task force, and he said, well, look, I've watched my own wife. She picks up the washing and she would just tip it all out in one bundle. And it's not as though as if if you suspect your husband of something, well, I suppose that's when you might become the forensic pathologist or whatever, and you are looking for pieces of blood or whatever on the clothing. But he said, Gay Glover, as far as the police are concerned, they believe that she really didn't have any inkling that, who would ever dream of your husband of 20-odd years is running around knocking old ladies on the head?
Yes. Well, again, I mentioned at the start, it is a gripping police tale. The story is a gripping police tale. We so often criticise the police, but this is one of the great triumphs, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, the police came under a lot of fire at the end of the inquiry, at the time of the arrest and during the trial, for alleged bungling. For instance, they were outside the home where he committed his last murder and tried to commit suicide himself. But that was, if the story is told in the book, and it is told in the book, it's explained that the police couldn't show their hand. They couldn't go barging into this house. They just didn't have the evidence.
But they knew he was the granny killer, but they didn't want to blow the case.
They suspected.
He was the suspect, but they did not have one skerrick of evidence to connect him to any of the murders. And as you know, Ray, being an old journo, you only get one crack at murder in the law courts. Yes. So they had to plan the surveillance very, very seriously, and it was a situation where they could not show their hand, and that's where the quick track comes into it.
Okay, that's the bug they put in his car.
Yeah, they got permission off his boss. They got a spare key, and the police stole his car. And while John Glover was out shopping with his wife, he walks back to the car park, and the police overheard him criticising these dreadful young thugs who would steal his car. And of course, here's a guy you're talking about who's murdering elderly women, yes, yet he was still paying out on these dreadful people for stealing his car.